Aha, so welcome back to our Lost Cub game, where, while the others are gallivanting about, as they are wont to do,
Already drunk on the scotch that I found.
already drunk on part of a massive barrel of scotch that you did indeed find.
Very small part. And I'm going to put the lid back on now that they've left because I don't want stuff falling in it. And I'm a
That would be
responsible
unfortunate.
adult.
Oh, I love you. Yes, exactly that. Thanks
Yes.
to all that, you have been left. Well, not wholly unsupervised. There is at least one other person in and around the building. Heidi is perhaps a little tips because she was encouraged to try some of the scotch as well. But she doesn't seem to be a big enough fan to be diving back into the barrel. She's just had enough to be even more giggly than usual.
Yeah, honestly, it kind of smells terrible too. Not quite as bad as that fish stuff, but I don't want to put that in my mouth.
The bobble nod. So if you count this as supervision, shame on you because you have essentially been left unsupervised and left to wander a. Well, admittedly, it's a massive overall estate, but the the one building alone is distraction aplenty, really.
We contend that the photo currently presented does not functionally represent the actual expanse of the mansion because there's a lot of fog hiding the wings behind the front.
Yes, clearly.
And some trees, and it's built into a mountainside. So
yes. There may or may not be more house than is currently depicted in this, admittedly, just very convenient photograph.
Well, first, we should probably just finish cleaning out the basement. I mean, since we're already down here, again. There's a pause where she looks around, half expecting someone to actually pop back out of that woodwork and be like, "No, get out of the basement!"
Strangely enough, there's nobody to tell you no. In fact, there's just Heidi poking her head through the hatch, like, "Oh, hey, there's a hatch here," and she bobbles her head in agreement. This is a great idea.
I'm thinking maybe before we open anything else, we should probably haul it up the stairs outside. And she points to the giant giant hatch that opens to the double doors outside, where the first barrel o' death has already been dragged.
Yes, it has.
That way, if it smells bad again, it doesn't smell up the house. It's a little easier to air out.
There's another bobble nod of agreement.
All right. Well, wait. I need we need to put a sign on this one.
We do?
So that we know it's the scotch.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, I know. And Heidi, as opposed to running in through the other door or any other more logical route, proceeds to bobble down the steps into the basement and then scamper. Like, you've seen how kids will run up some stairs using their hands even to kind of help. She proceeds to scamper thusly up the stairs and soon returns, swaying very slightly for a moment, with a small can of paint. Because there are many cans of paint all over the house, of varying tones, most of them pale. But she returns with a very small can, and a brush that's almost too big to fit into it, like, ha! Holding these, with an expression of victory. Let's work?
I might just use my finger. I don't think the brush... That might just make a mess.
She kind of looks at the brush, accusingly. It has betrayed her.
Well, it's for painting walls. So that's... I mean, it is.
She proceeds to just casually drop the brush there, because she is not exactly thinking. And taking hold of the rail, will more carefully descend the steps this time, kind of offering out the can.
She will take the can and prise the lid off as necessary, and will daub on the side of the barrel a note that just says booze. Very carefully. And then like scrape the rest of the paint off of her finger on the side of the barrel.
This one does.
Because you don't want to get it on your pants. It's important. So yeah, that barrel is set off to the side with some grunting, I suspect, and some sloshing, but with the
Yup.
lid back on before the sloshing, so it's okay.
It's fine. Everything's
then-
fine.
There are more barrels.
There are more barrels.
Okay. We should probably just move the ones that are lighter first. They're less likely to smell like death. Because there's not going to be wet stuff in them. Okay. So there's like some rocking ensues, and they figure out which barrels weigh how much and which ones are easiest to move.
Easiest, not necessarily.
Not easy,
Meaning easy, yes.
but easiest. And
This is
it will
exciting,
start
and
there. It
she's
is
quite
exciting.
excited. Yes.
But yeah,
She
so
will
they
helpfully wobble barrels and eventually do that thing where you like tip it up and try to roll it on the edge, or perhaps even just tip it over and roll it. That's what they do, right?
yeah, that's a thing that
That's
is
totally
totally valid. And they'll manage to struggle them up some steps outside.
the lighter ones. The two of you can, with much heaving and much hoeing and much effort, get up the stairs. I mean, they're still heavy wooden barrels, even if there's practically nothing left in them.
They are not the most muscular of young ladies.
They are not. You
But
both
yes.
might be described more applicably as wayfish, making this less than simple.
But highly entertaining to watch, if only there was someone there watching them.
If only. But no, instead there is a lot of heaving and a lot of struggling and a lot of comical, like, flopping. And man, the directions that they have to lean to get these things to budge. It's wonderful. But
So,
sooner or later, one by one,
A
couple of them
small
will be
collection of
done.
barrels is up out of the basement, arrayed on the side lawn. And yeah, she will start very methodically, in order. Not that there was an order.
She's
Start
sure this
checking
is
out
in
the
order.
contents.
There will be at least one barrel heavy enough that there's no amount of heave-hoeing that is going to get it up there as you currently are.
Yes. We'll come back to that one.
But like, the two of you can get it tipped over and roll it, but once it's at the bottom of the stairs, it's kind of like, well, now what? We'll just, we'll come back
look-
to that.
We'll stand it back up so that no one steps on it. Yeah. Next to the stairs. It looks good there. Anyway, let's find out what's in these.
Yes.
And yeah, she'll take whatever kind of prying implement that it was that she opened the first three and apply it further.
Let's be honest, with a little effort, Becca is in and out. There's at least one crowbar on the premises right now.
Mm-hmm. I think
So there's a lot of prying and prizing and poking your heads in, and while not all of them smell pleasant, not all of them smell especially unpleasant. One has a distinct kind of so much of like dried nonsense in the bottom, and has kind of a almost a flowery smell to it.
like old herbs and stuff.
Mhm.
Flowery or okay. Some kind of like set that one off to the side. Like I need to examine this better when there is light, because there's not a lot of it right now because it's dark. That
Yes,
one gets set
indeed.
off to the side. Yeah. What kind of things does one store in barrels in a basement in a 100-plus-year-old house?
You have that one.
There's
say
one that,
that,
whatever it used to be, held a large colony of mice at one point and is full of nothing but mouse poop, I'm sure.
Oh yes, absolutely. We'll say there are 2 remaining at the bottom of the stairs that were a tad on the heavy side. And by a tad, I mean exceptionally fucking heavy. One of them, the one that's covered in mouse poop, you find a lot of like little shucked bits. There may have been some manner of grain stored in this. It is gone.
It is gone.
It is long gone. One similarly is full of more mouse poop, and at least one considerably sized nest, and there's some dried kind of like maybe that was a corn cob. I don't know. And some have just kind of grime on the inside from whatever used to be there that has long since aged into nothing. And overall, you're left with those 2 set at the bottom of the stairs that were way too heavy to get up.
Well, there's only 2 left. She kind of pauses and like looks over towards where the horrible one has been exiled. They might be terrible.
They might be.
But we already have to get rid of the one, so we might as well find out now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They can take them all away at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It makes perfect sense.
So yeah, so she will like back down the steps and pops the top kind of the retaining band off the top of the barrel so that it loosens a little bit and you can get at the lid, just like she's been doing with all the rest. She's getting pretty good at this. Like if anybody needs to open more barrels, cut this down to a science.
She is. It's funny because at some point, like Heidi kind of tries with one of them and really doesn't get the process here. So she ends up watching when Abby comes down and actually like properly gets the thing kind of loosened up so she can get the lid off and is like, oh. All right. So here is a question that you might actually be able to answer better than the internet.
Maybe.
You know, scotch is one thing. But what does happen to a cask of wine when it is left abandoned for long enough?
It depends on the barrel.
Well, these are at the very least very nice barrels, and the people who lived here could afford very nice things.
They do not usually use barrels to age it for that long, so it's going to be interesting. That's for certain. Because they usually keep wine in barrels for like a year or 2.
I mean, it perhaps was originally only meant to be there for a year or 2, but here we are.
Well, it also depends on whether or not, like, was it wine? Was it, like, Madeira?
You are asking me questions that you know I can't answer.
I am, and I don't know what came over me. It's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting.
I'm sure that the smell, which I imagine will be quite dry, will be interesting as well.
Eventually, yeah, dryness goes up. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what wine does.
It's a very good question, and I will do further research. But this was meant to be wine. It's probably still technically wine.
Well, this one's definitely also alcoholic.
It definitely smells kind of like the other booze one.
I'm not sure what it's supposed to be.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they would drink basically anything though, so we'll put the lid back on this one.
Uh-huh.
And I will make another label. And she dutifully labels this one booze 2.
All right.
And like, oh Jesus, scoots it over to sit next to booze 1, which has now been labeled with a
getting
1.
it out of the basement.
Oh, that's right. Booze 1 is removed from the basement somehow. Right. It'll
Very
stay in the
determined
basement then.
people work together.
Very determined people. It's left where it is.
Yep, that could just sit there. That looks fine.
It's like, okay. Last one then.
Heidi may or may
And
not be
she
bouncing
will-
because this is weirdly exciting.
Go for the gold.
You go for the gold. Weirdly enough, what you will find with kind of a puff as you open the thing up is flour.
I think it's just she kind of pokes at it,
Heidi too will poke at it.
swirls her finger around, like sniffs it a little bit. I think it's flour. I wonder if it's still good.
Heidi does stick a couple fingers in, plays with it a little bit, shrugs, ends up pulling her hand out, trying to like wipe her hand on her other hand, eventually just kind of claps them together, makes a small puff.
Does flour go bad?
I don't know. Maybe? It is very old flour. And leans over to peer into the barrel.
Huh.
I should have played down here more.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge building. We're gonna find more stuff. This was just, I don't remember how I ended up in the basement, actually.
I don't know.
But now that we've got the barrels dealt with, we can like clean the floor and stuff.
Yeah, there's this stuff on the shelves still. But most of it looks gross.
Well, I mean, I think most of it's just kind of dead.
Mm-hmm. So you suddenly switch tracks to, now I must clean the basement!
Oh, yep. Yep.
And, what your prior investigation roll will net you is that as you and Heidi kind of comically go about kind of cleaning up, dusting, doing as you do, ironically sweeping a dirt floor.
It probably takes them a while to realize that it is in fact a dirt floor and not that they're like, she's like, oh my God, we're going to have to scrub this. This is super caked with dirt.
It really is.
And then like 45 minutes in, she's like, it might just be dirt.
It might.
I can't actually find floor under here.
I don't think I've actually seen any floor either. She kind of glances around. And, but what the investigation will net you is that as you're going, we'll say in particular, as you go up and kind of figure, the best place where if there's floor, you're going to find it is like you go up under the staircase. Heidi will helpfully like finally flick on like the flashlight on her phone for you because it's shaded on top of dark. And what little light is coming down from, the first floor isn't really going to help you under the stairs. You figure, if you go for this back wall bit up under the stairs where the least amount of dirt would have been able to like get in, that's where you'll get it. And as you're sweeping, there's like stone wall, and there are periodically like great wooden posts set in. Probably part of the initial support before all the stone was put in or some nonsense like that. And you're going and you're really digging at it and you bump it and it kind of budges. What? You okay?
It moved.
What moved?
She kind of like reaches over to it's like just big wooden supports.
Yeah, it looks like a big solid ass support beam. You swear it jiggled.
Pushes it.
Do you push high or low?
She's been looking for floor, so low.
So you kind of push on it, and you feel a little bit of motion as though it's not solidly in there, but it doesn't swing or anything.
I'm not sure this is stable. And she kind of like stands up carefully so she doesn't conk her head on anything, and like just grabs it more about face level and kind of shakes it some.
All right. As you're kind of going to grab it and you kind of press in to get a good hold, what is going to happen will essentially be like about... Hold on.
If you show me a picture of the moving fucking staircases from Hogwarts, we're gonna have a problem.
No, it is about like this.
Oh! Heidi, I need the light.
Okay. And she quickly kind of reaches in, like kind of offering over the phone.
She's like pushing on the top of it and like scrambles for the phone with her other hand kind of blindly and then brings the phone over. What does the light reveal?
I mean, there's it much like the picture. It swings out. And while you can't see far with a little phone flashlight, you can see that little stop at the bottom. And you can definitely see that it kind of opens back out a bit. Like it's not just a tiny crevasse, it's just a very small opening. And it definitely looks kind of finished, about as finished as the rest of the basement wall is in there. Like there's walls. There's a tunnel of some sort there.
Oh my god! There's a secret passage.
Really?
Yeah. And there's like a clatter as the broom is like kicked aside because
no, fuck this broom.
And she'll take the little stop and like wedge it in there so that she doesn't crush her fingers trying to get there. And yeah, get in here, get in here.
You want me to? Can you go first?
Okay. Yeah.
And she'll come over and kind of hold up the bottom, like weirdly kind of play with it for a second to kind of figure out if it's heavy, and finally just kind of stands there holding up the bottom bit so it's held open for you.
And she'll crawl through. Sideways,
right.
Probably, but
yeah, you've got to kind of slip in sideways, but you get in there. And I mean, it's musty and it's dark, and there's loads of very old but very abandoned cobwebs when you kind of pan up to the ceiling bit. Meanwhile, Heidi is kind of standing on the other side, like, what's in there?
A lot of dead spider webs. I don't know. How big is this room? She will investigate.
Let me make a roll real fast. How's Heidi doing? How are you doing, Heidi? Heidi is okay. Heidi, however, it's like a lot of dead spider webs, and you continue talking, but you say spider webs, and there's kind of an alarmed squeak, followed by kind of a clack as she clearly has let go of the board, and it's clacked back down. And it hits against the little stop, but it's definitely a bit of a shock as the thing kind of clacks down and seems to close behind you.
You okay?
I don't. I can't. I don't. Can't be spiders.
I don't actually see any, if that helps. Hang on. No, I'll be back out in a second.
Okay, I'll stay here.
Yeah, just in case. Because, yeah.
You kind of hear her like scramble around a little bit, and like somehow you can tell that this is the distinct sound of her like scooping up the broom to defend herself
Against the super dead spiders.
against the super dead spiders.
Yup. Abby, on the other hand, is going to take the phone light and investigate the corners of this room she has found.
Oh, it's not a room. It definitely just like you start walking along to see kind of, okay, maybe it's just a very small room, and you start moving forward, and you just don't find that back wall.
Huh.
This thing definitely continues.
Well, that's
So here is the real question of the day. How far will Abby go, armed with her trusty phone flashlight?
Are
You need
there
to, you can
anything that
always-
resemble windows?
Down here? No.
I didn't think so. Well, I was just checking because there appears to be some kind of window. Or it's probably a cabinet.
I assume that's like a painting or a shadow
probably
box
a
or something.
cabinet.
I don't know what that is.
Well,
It is just
Logically
bare
speaking-
wall and very dark.
logically speaking,
That's a funny way to start.
Heidi is currently alone in the basement and upset.
I'm going to check your thing because I think I made notes on it.
Getting lost in a secret passage. Well, there is no one there to save her if something terrible happens. It's a terrible plan.
Would you like to make a wits check?
I think I do need to do.
You're-
Well,
you-
is this more of a is this a wits check or is this a curiosity check?
that is what your wits check would be, yes.
Ah, very well. Yeah, I think that needs to happen.
I think that seems like a fair assessment.
Successes.
Well, even with a slightly higher diff, that's still 2. It's enough for you to get a bit, you kind of continue like, I mean, everything seems fine. It's just, I mean, it's dark and it's kind of snug. Like, it's not that it's actually too small. It's just it almost feels a little too small. You've been in my actual basement. No, the ceiling is low enough to just kind of make you want to crouch, even if you don't need to. That's kind of the feeling you get. It's a fairly narrow tunnel, and it's not narrow enough that you need to be careful of the walls and brushing them, but you kind of feel like you should be. And as you get a little further on, you realize, yes, there's no telling how far this goes, and in fact, it'll be you're going along, and you get to that first point where there is a divergence from the straight line you've been following, or seemingly straight line you've been following, and that's about where you sit there and you go, maybe getting lost down here wouldn't be good. And Heidi did sound really upset, and you find the restraint to not start plunging wildly out of sheer curiosity and explorative spirit down these tunnels.
It's a close run thing. She kind of like there is some hesitation, but she doesn't want to abandon Heidi, and it is late, and she does have an appointment that she is supposed to make sure that Mr. Bill gets to. So she'll turn around and head back for her little secret door. I'm coming back.
There's a a very, very quiet little okay. On the other side, you can barely hear it really, even like with the tunnel echo. You hear like some noise. You may not necessarily make out the words.
And she'll make her way right back down the hallway to the little secret door.
And yeah, as you give it a nudge, Heidi does reach down with the light glowing from the other side to kind of catch the edge and pull it up a little bit for you. Though she is there's initial like she kind of tugs it up and glances underneath as though there might be the treachery of a spider right there. When she does not find one, goes ahead and lifts it up.
So I don't know how far it goes. It's like this big hallway, and then it like, branches off, and we should probably make sure that there's more light and like string or something like they used in the labyrinth on Crete, just in case. So.
Noddle, 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 noddle. Anything that means she doesn't have to go into the tunnel gets incredible noddle noddles. And
so
I will actually give
probably just like clean out some of the empty barrels and leave them to kind of air dry and maybe get cleaned up and go to bed.
Yeah. And I'll give you an alertness check. Because it's kind of a subtle motion, but it's happening.
I have to remember.
That is still enough, and it's not a very pronounced thing, and in fact you might just think she got like a mosquito bite or something, but Heidi's kind of just idly and not paying attention to it, but has one arm over the other and is kind of scratching around like at the elbow, like not seeming to notice, not like drawing blood or anything, but just kind of repeatedly scratching the same spot as she kind of glances over.
Did you get a bug bite? Your elbow.
It itches.
She'll kind of like move the phone down to look at the elbow in question.
Oh yeah, you can check it out. You're not seeing any signs of like there's no little bumps or anything. It's kind of red from where she's been scratching at it. And as you pull her arm up, you see it's not the only spot she's scratched. And none of them show any little bumps or telltale like indications that there's anything there that should itch. She's just kind of been idly scratching at it.
I don't see anything, but let's get you out of the basement and get clean.
Okay.
Oh gosh, I hope it's not the flower. Because they're both covered in it.
Yeah, she's just like, oh god, it might be the flower. And yeah, she's just kind of. She's easy to kind of placidly lead along. Take back upstairs.
Yeah, they can go and get cleaned up and scrub out the empty barrels.
And yeah, and the shower is still shockingly cold, so maybe more so kind of using a washcloth and scrubbing a bit, and maybe not full submersion, especially at night.
They can boil some water and then use the washcloth to scrub with warm stuff.
Madness.
I know.
It's just crazy enough to work. Good indeed. Yep. So yeah, the two of you get a bit of a scrub, and as you are going about the whole thing, at some point Heidi kind of glances over. You think there are monsters in there?
I don't see any. It's kind of narrow.
The monsters are small. Or can make themselves small.
Well, if there are, they're not very good monsters, because I was in there for a while and nothing came out. So.
Okay. Kind of nods like that makes perfect sense. Yeah. And it's okay because you're here.
Yeah.
Like Anton.
Yeah.
She finally kind of she seems to mellow out a little bit.
I do the grr thing too. Just slightly higher pitched.
That's good. It means you're big enough to keep me safe.
Yeah.
So even if there were monsters, it'd be okay.
Yes.
Firm nod.
Slightly
Perfect
less
faith.
firm nod from from Abby. She's like, yes. Could there not be monsters, please?
And what all else will you get up to, given a little more free time? Are you going to?
Honestly, that probably took them both hours.
It probably did, actually.
And they're probably both exhausted.
So the two of you get a bit of a wash up, and one of you ends up much safer feeling, and one of you maybe a little more concerned that there's an insistence that there may be monsters. But all the same, I mean, by the end of it, Heidi will clamber into bed, and I don't actually think Abby has another place to crash. There's some air mattresses, but Heidi will offer to just share the bed.
They'll sleep over it. Curl up in the same bed.
Yes, because girls do that.
They do.
Boys apparently sleep random places like the bathtub. I don't know. That's weird.
Boys are weird.
Boys are weird.
Oh, very well. In that case, I think at least for now, well, it has been short, it has been sweet, and we will continue next time as we explore in another episode of Lost Cup.